Right, so something hit me the other day, today, well, not today, yesterday. You know that computer case? The one that I used to build the M5A78L-M motherboard into. If you remember, that was originally the backup computer. That was the one that had the 939 motherboard in. Now going back for maybe 3 or 4 years, I think it was 3 years, it might be 4 years, I'm not sure exactly. I was watching a Twitch, I think it was Twitch video, and I was watching Zero Labs doing a live stream. And that computer, the 939 motherboard, died the same way. I thought, hang on a minute, is this freaking case, is this computer case cursed or something? So I'm thinking about this yesterday and thought, that's weird. I never thought. It never occurred to me. The backup computer a few years back, using a different power supply, by the way. It was the other power supply it was using. You know, the Corsair power supply, not the Ace power supply I'm using now. And I was watching the Twitch video on it, on the 939 motherboard, the Asus 939 motherboard. I forgot the model number now. Doesn't matter, but it died when I was watching the Twitch video. And I was thinking about this, I thought, that's weird, because my M5A78L-M computer, I was watching a YouTube video and it was paused and it died too, in the same case. And then I remembered something else. A guy on YouTube was recently doing a video about a computer that kept crashing. I've got his name now. But anyway, he was, I think it was, what was it? I can't think of it right now. He got this machine from a customer, a client, who had done everything. Basically like me, right? Same ball of wax, right? He tried everything. He tried different memory. He tried different CPU. He tried different power supply. And his machine kept crashing for no reason. It would shut down for no reason. But his didn't die completely. He was able to reboot after a while. And he couldn't understand what was going on either. And the guy who got this machine to repair eventually narrowed it down to what the cause was. And guess what it was? It was a freaking power switch. The power switch was leaky. There was it was partially conducting, not fully conducting. It was partially conducting. Or I think it might have been a reset switch, I'm not sure. But the actual switches on the front panel of the computer were leaking electrons through to the motherboard, which confused the motherboard as to whether or not it was on or off. And that's what fucked it up and caused it to crash. I thought, hang on, I wonder if that's what's happening here, because something similar is happening to this, because the previous 939 motherboard, it was totally wrecked. It wouldn't boot, wouldn't do anything. And I'm thinking, I wonder now that it's not plugged in. I wonder now that I've taken the 939 motherboard out of the case and I put it in a box and I marked it as dead. I wonder if I put that on, do a bench test on it, I wonder if it'll actually work now, because it's not plugged into the power, it's not plugged in the power socket. I mean the switch, the power switch, and it's not connected to the reset switch anymore. It's out of the case. So could the actual case itself, could there be condensation or dirt or something inside the switch, so that when it's running, condensation or moisture builds up inside the switch somehow, because it is exposed near the front of the front panel. Is it possible that something there is causing the motherboard to be unbootable or unusable? So I have another lead. There's hope, but I've also already ordered another motherboard. So anyway, what I've got to do with this is, when the new motherboard arrives, I'm going to bench test that on the table like I did last time, see if it all works and everything works, make sure it's good, put it back in the box. Then I'm going to remove my motherboard, the M5A78L-M, the one that's just died, take that out of the case and put that back on the table and re-bench test it without the switches connected to it. And if it works, I'll know it's got something to do with the power switch or the reset switch, because that's the only way I can really test it, is to, well, I can pull the cables off the motherboard inside the case, I suppose, and do it, but which might be that might be worth trying first, actually, just to pull the power switch off and the reset switch off and manually activate it with a screwdriver like I did before, to see if it will come on. So that might be worth trying. But on the other hand, if it's damaged it beyond repair, then at least I've got the other motherboard which is on order. So this is what I'm facing. This is the freaking situation. Now, it's surprising to me because this case is a lot newer than my original computer case. My original computer case is a good 30 years old, and this other one's probably 20 years old. So it surprised me. But then switches have gone, the quality of micro switches has gone downhill. It's got really bad, and a lot of them are Chinese. They're made in China. The cheap switches, they're really bad switches, and they're not very well made. They don't have gold contacts or something, and it can cause problems. It might be some diode rectification on the switch. There might be some kind of bad connection that's causing some sort of weird anomaly to happen that's confusing the motherboard to the point where it's crashing it or making it so it won't boot. It might be that this, and there was something else I noticed, which I should have maybe mentioned, or maybe I did mention it actually. But when I was trying to turn it on once, I pressed the power button a couple of times and it wouldn't turn on at all. It wouldn't turn the power on. And then later on, when I pressed the power switch, it would turn on. So the switch was acting like, sometimes it would turn it on, other times it wouldn't turn it on. So there's definitely something there. There's a clue there, isn't there? I mean, the fact is that when I pressed the switch before and it lit up, it went off. You know, it went on, off. When I pressed the power switch once, it went on, off. And I pressed the power switch again, it went on, off. And the next time I pressed it, it went on. So there's something going on there with that power switch. That's got to be something. Now, if there's something, if if the power switch, the signals that come in that go back to the motherboard, if they're leaking to ground, for example, if there's if the signals from the power management system on the motherboard somehow is referencing partial short to ground, that could cause weird stuff to happen. It could cause all sorts of weird noise to get into the power circuit and cause this sort of weird thing to happen, maybe. So anyway, I forgot all about the backup computer, about how that failed, but it's almost the same thing. I was watching a video, but it was on Twitch. I couldn't remember that the other time when I tried to tell you, but it was on Twitch. And it crashed and froze up, and I couldn't get it to boot again. And it was exactly the same thing. I mean, I just pronounced it dead. I put a sticker on the front for a while saying dead, this computer's dead. And I should have known, I should have realised that, but I didn't. It didn't click. I'm getting old. I forgot. But it came back to me yesterday, and yeah, this has happened before. This is deja vu. So that might explain what's going on. So I am not going to put another motherboard in this computer. Or something else I thought about, right? I had an idea as well. Something else. Oh, where is it? Where are you? Find it. If I can find it. Right. Ugh. A few years ago, I bought this. There's a keychain on a remote. This is for a car door opener, by the way. I honestly can't remember when I bought this. We're talking probably 15, 20 years ago, right? It's got an antenna wire on it. It's radio controlled key fob and a receiver. And there's two signals that come out of this. One is collector to ground, and one is PMP emitter to signal, as in, yeah. So when you press the button, there's two buttons on here, right? When you press one button, it triggers the minus, it pulls down. When you press the other button, it triggers the high. So you've got a high switch and a low switch. And this triggers, there's 4 wires. 2 wires are collector to ground, which is what I taped together, which is ones I tried using before. There's another 2 wires. Oh no, that's power supply. No, it's all in one wire. So these wires are either signal to ground or signal to supply. And it basically, it can be used for a door opener. You know, for when you want to open the door or shut the door. You can either send it, pull down to shut the door, or you can pull up to open the door. So this is the remote control unit. I thought, well, I can either replace the switches in the case, which is probably what I'm going to do anyway, but this will be useful for remote access to, you know, temporary connecting to the motherboard, but turn it on and off. If I wanted a remote solution, you know, if I was to find out once and for all if it was the switches, I could temporarily hook this up and use a remote key fob to turn it on. So when you press that button, see see that little light comes on, it sends a signal. It's got a 12 volt battery in there, by the way. I haven't used this for years, but it's still got a battery in here. I can't believe it still works as well. But I taped this up so I wouldn't lose it. Actually, I wonder if it one minute. No bother, I'm not gonna pull it apart. It's taped on there, and if I pull it off I'll never get it to stick back again. But so that is a remote control unit for triggering a relay, and the relay can trigger power supply, whatever. But anyway, I was thinking about that. Oh, it's got 1.9k impedance on it. Says on the back. Yeah. So it's, you know, if my memory wasn't so crap, I would have remembered that straight away. It would have come back to me. This it could be just this freaking case that's causing me all these problems. The freaking switches in it. So I'm going to have to pull the front case off, check those switches, see if there's any kind of leakage to ground, or before I pull the front cover off, maybe I should just leave it in situ and check the readings from the switch wire, see if there's any kind of leak to ground somewhere, because that could be all that's causing all my problems. Because it doesn't make sense. The two completely different motherboards both suffer the same problem, and both are pronounced dead. Anyway, thanks for watching. I was thinking a bit ago, you know, I was trying to do I'm in the kitchen, by the way. I was trying to do a search on YouTube for people who are repairing computers and motherboards. Hang on a minute, I've got to wash a cup out. I'll be right back. And I was thinking, every single video that popped up on YouTube when I searched for anybody else that had the same problem as me with the M5A78L-M motherboard, when I did a search for other people that were repairing them, every single video was not in English. Couldn't understand a freaking word they were saying. But most of them weren't any use anyway, because they were just... I watched some of them actually. I watched the video part. I couldn't understand what they were saying. And one thing I noticed is that there wasn't any English videos at all about how to fix this particular kind of problem. Well, about any problem really to do with that particular motherboard. Every single video was in another language. They were all pretty useless. And then it occurred to me, well, I'm not surprised with it, because this country was built on innovation. Britain, England used to be the leader in invention and automotive, science, technology. We used to help the world, basically. Our technology was what spread across every continent. And I'd say that 90% of British people now, I'm talking about young men. I'm not talking about the older generation. Oh, well, most of the older generation who used to be innovators and used to work in the repair industry. Most of those people are retired or dead, or it's called old school. I mean, like me, I'm old school. But I try to learn, right? I try to learn about newer technologies. Sometimes because it's on a need to know, basically. Sometimes you need to know stuff because nobody else is doing it. At least not that I can understand. And I see it around where I live. People with a can of beer drinking themselves to death in the street. They've all lost, they're all totally lost. They've lost that innovation, that quality, that progression of learning to be something, to make an impact on the world, in technology. I don't know what I think it's partly to do with the IQ levels. People have just got really dumbed down. People waste their entire lives playing football or watching football on TV, basically doing nothing, become couch potatoes. There's not many people around like me who will build and make things. And it's really awkward because it feels like you feel like you have to lead the way. You feel like you have to try to re-stimulate an interest, but then you think, well, it's a lost cause because this country's finished. This country is finished because we are now on the back burner. We're not even on the back burner, actually. Somebody turn the gas off. Everything in this that we used to be is no longer here. It's gone. And you hear the stories about building. The politicians keep saying, I hate talking politics, but they keep saying, build Britain better. Good luck with that. Good luck with that. Because all the skilled workers, the people who had the knowledge, the people who had the money and the knowledge, they've all left. They've all gone to other places. They moved to China. They moved to Japan. They moved to... they've got out, basically, because they saw that this country is a lost cause. So I'm not surprised, really, that when I search YouTube for some other guy or other woman or whatever that might be doing repairs on stuff like I'm doing, that they're all non-English speaking. It's got nothing to do with racism. I just don't understand a word they're saying. And it's another language. It doesn't help me at all because I can't understand what they're talking about. And then I wonder, well, there's no wonder I get a lot of views on when I'm doing videos about computer builds and stuff, because there's very, very few people in England or in the UK who are doing that now. We no longer live in a society of innovation. Everything's built by the corporations and it's all throwaway technology. You buy it, if it breaks, you throw it away and buy another one. Which is really sad, right? It's extremely sad, really. I mean, but you know, what do you do? What can you do? Every time I go to the store and I'm seeing people, they're completely out of it, you know. They have absolutely no knowledge, no interest, no comprehension that we are living in a technological world and that we really need to know how things work, because there's no more repair shops. You have a job finding an agency in this country that will actually repair a computer motherboard. I mean, I'm not talking about building a computer. I'm talking as in buying the parts and putting it together. I'm talking about low-level repairs. There's basically hardly anyone left. You see them on YouTube, like there's Lewis Rossman, there's one or two people. There's Northbridge Fix. They're all US, all American. Luckily, we still have a few of those in America, but you see, it's not economical to put your motherboard in a box and ship it to America to have it repaired and have it shipped back. It costs a fortune. It costs a freaking fortune. It's actually more, it's not economical to do that. But some people will do that. So I mean, yeah, it's sad. It's really sad. It really is heartbreaking to find yourself in a country that you used to regard it as your home, as innovators, and now it feels like a dead horse, basically. Why am I still here, sort of thing? What's the point? My entire life, from the age of 6, 7, 8 years old, was focused on. I started off with an interest in trains, how electric trains and train sets worked, and how mechano sets worked, and everything was founded. All my life started with that, and through life I progressively learned more and more about it. And you just can't rewrite that. You can't go back and start over. You just can't. You've been on this train ride your entire life, over 60 years, and you get to a point where you realise the track's run out. There's no more track. You hit a dead end. You can't jump ship, and you can't jump onto a different platform or take a different route, because, and in the same way, I feel that situation also applies to all these people who are lost causes. People have lost their way, people who turn to alcohol and they see no way out. They're stuck, they're trapped. And some of them would probably wish I wish we'd taken a different path. So they might think the same way, but they're trapped too. And it's because the foundation, the original upbringing that leads people in a certain direction, a lot of it is erroneous. You know, it leads you on a tangent somewhere where you don't really want to go, but people don't realise it until they're on it, until they hit it, and it's too late. So all those people that could have taught young people, young minds, skills on how to do stuff, left the country because they were more interested in making money for themselves. They're more interested in looking after number one, themselves. They weren't interested in helping and educating other people around them. And that's why we've got this huge garbage pile. Well, it is a garbage pile of human wasted resources. People who've just turned to alcohol, drugs, everything else, and lost their way because there was no infrastructure there for them anymore. There was nothing there to help them. It's sad, it really is. But there's just one or two people out there very few, who will speak English, who I can understand. But sadly, there's very few people who are actually on the electronics level. There's not that many people. I'll see a few in the YouTube channel, but it seems like, as I say, most of them are not even speaking English anymore, so I can't understand what they're saying. I just can't understand them. And a lot of them are just trolls, and you know, they're just scammers looking to make money, and I've seen that too. I mean, time wasters. You watch the video and think, what's all this about? They don't talk. Some of them don't talk. They just play music all the way through, and they think, what's this video about? What are they doing? What are they trying to do? The title says this, but I don't see anything. They're just messing about, and it doesn't make any sense to me. There's a lot of those videos, you know. They're not instructive. They're not constructive. They're not instructive or constructive. They don't answer the question that you had. Anyway, that's it. That's my end of my little rant for now. Bye for now.